Alright. Welcome to 40 Porn, the limited Lorcana podcast, where a gaming veteran
and a Disney enthusiast
explore all things Lorcana. With a focus on limited formats, we cover set reviews, strategy guides, and stuff that nobody asked for. Let's get cozy at the Lorekeeper's Inn. How are you doing, Katie?
I'm good. I'm excited. I've been trying to keep this on the down low, but I did wear a shirt that has both Mickey and hot dogs to really, maybe Taylor's not here, but this is kind of like, I think he would like it.
It's brand
I don't know
appropriate.
him. Yeah, I don't know him enough to know if he would like it, but I mean, everyone probably would like a shirt with Mickey and hot dogs.
Yeah, I think he would like it. I think he would appreciate the gesture at the least, He's currently
Is he still at the Mall of America?
No, he's at camp right now. So he came back for a week, and every summer he's the worst. He's a counselor at a camp for kids with juvenile arthritis.
What a good human.
Nah, don't.
Okay, don't let
It'll go to his head.
Good, okay.
So for a week, he helps counsel kids that are, I've never heard of it, but there's a thing called juvenile arthritis. Like, kids can have really bad arthritis. It's like debilitating pain and really inhibits their quality of life. And yeah, the camp is like a great time. The kids love it. The parents love it. Taylor loves it.
Well, good for Taylor. Yay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Taylor.
Yeah, good for him. I just saw your dog move by in the background. Is that the one that ate your dice?
Yep, she's my favorite cryptid. She, as the story goes, because I called my husband, I was like, I'm taking her to the emergency vet. She swallowed a bag of dice. And he's like, I don't see why that's a problem. And I was like, no, you have to, the dice were still in the bag. It was the bag of dice.
No.
So the vet was excited. We were all having fun, except for me.
Yeah,
and
that's terrifying.
$300. And
yeah.
she gave it back.
Oh, wow. That's honestly cheaper than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And I mean, if you want to go on I can tell you all the prices of the different, like, the longer you wait, the prices you're looking at for how, so this was
different
the cheapest
options.
option. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it worked. I'm glad it took.
Yes.
Or whatever.
It left. Yeah.
It left. So, well, thank you for joining me, Katie. You have at this time, I was going to say a new show, but when this releases, it will be a well-established, flourishing show on YouTube called The Lorekeeper's Inn. Do you want to tell our listeners, first of all, up front, where they can find you and what The Lorekeeper Inn is?
Yeah, so currently I'm on YouTube and podcasting. So, right now every podcast is a YouTube, but not every YouTube video is a podcast. Because, I'm having fun with it. And that's kind of the point of the whole Lorekeeper's Inn idea that I had is it's hard to stick to just one topic with Disney Lorcana. I've used this, I think, even on my own show, that there's like a Venn diagram of you have people who are like, I'm here because I like to play competitive card games. And there's some people who are like, I'm here because I love Disney. And there's some people who are like, I love trivia and theme parks. And so basically, the Lorekeeper Inns are right in the middle of there. And so I decided I will not pick a lane. I will be in all of them. So the inn, people stop by, tell their stories. I'll tell them stories. So yeah, it's all of it, which is maybe greedy, but I'm excited about it all at the same time.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I think part of a content creator journey is, figuring out what you like to make. And if you like to make a bunch of different things, then that's okay.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people that listen to us don't necessarily love limited. I think some people do, but some people it's just, the interviews are interesting maybe, or maybe they just like hearing me and Taylor screw around or whatever. So I'm sure that you're going to find a great audience that's going to love the stuff that you do. Because right now, I know that you have a lot of park knowledge, which will come through in the pod, and we'll talk about that a bit more later. But that doesn't come up as often, I think. I mean, we haven't seen it that much in Lorcana, and you hear people maybe mention parks, but I feel like you have some like deep Disney park lore that is an untapped world of Lorcana content. So I'm excited to get into that a bit with you.
It's true, yeah. I think it's come up a few times because I was even talking to Zach Bivens, and I was like, oh, so where is the Nationals? And he's like, we don't know. And so it comes up like, will it be at Disney? It's just, there's even mystery about, will Lorcana come to Disney World, like physically? So it's an interesting, mysterious part of the game right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it has to. Like, where else would they... I just don't know. I can't imagine them having Nationals or Worlds anywhere else. But
Topeka, Kansas is geographically the center of the United States. So
that would be sick.
Wow, it's good for everyone except for people who want to do fun things.
Yeah, if you just want to go and play card games.
Yeah.
Well, an overview of the episode will introduce things, get to know you a little bit more, and then we have a listener question related to parks, which will then talk about parks a little bit, which is something that we very rarely talk about on our podcast. And then we'll talk about limited. You actually brought a little bit of your own limited agenda to discuss today. And then we'll talk about your show a bit more in depth, and we'll wrap up with Pack 4, Pick 12. Sweet.
I'm excited.
Okay. Well, first of all, and we can cut this if we need to.
Okay.
Are you cool saying which state you're from?
Yeah. I'm from the great state of Colorado. Well, I'm from Nebraska, but that's not fun. So I live in Colorado, so I'm always going to go with Colorado because I've been here for 6 years, and that counts.
Do you have like a favorite regional food from either your home state or Colorado?
Yes. So home is, have you ever heard of the Runza restaurant?
No.
I feel weird calling it Runza. So in Omaha, well, in Nebraska at large, they have this fast food chain called Runza, Runza, and it is Eastern European in origin. Some people you might think of, if you're in Texas, it's similar to a kolache, but not like the Czech kolache. It's very complicated, but basically it's a soft yeast roll filled with meats and cheese.
This looks revolutionary.
It's so good, and it's so good in the winter because it's hotter than I think is scientifically possible.
Molten lava.
Yeah, and they have this special in Nebraska where on Wednesdays or Mondays, whatever the temperature is, that's the price of the Runza. So like it could be like 5 cents. I don't know if they owe you money if it's negative. I haven't gotten into that kind of math. But,
Yeah, I would not be outside in that.
Yeah, but the mushroom Swiss is the one that I love. But they also have the second thing that Nebraska is famous for, which is chili and cinnamon rolls. You eat chili with a side of a cinnamon roll. That's ridiculous. That's why I had to leave.
Hang on, I gotta
yeah,
Google
like
this.
cinnamon roll and cinnamon roll. It's like a chili cinnamon roll. I don't think that's it.
Chili and cinnamon rolls. This is
Nebraska.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, well, because it's hard to get out of Nebraska. You have to find a way out. It's a lot.
This is
But once you make
unbelievable.
it out, you dream about Runzas. I do. Some people will talk trash on it because people want to be a hater.
Yeah.
But it's great. The mushroom Swiss is revolutionary.
Oh, I already know I would love. You've sold me on Runzas.
Yeah.
Now this cinnamon roll and chili thing, that's a hard sell for me. I don't think I'm coming around on that one.
It's so much ingrained that like I remember at school it'd be like, oh, it's chili and cinnamon roll day, and even as like a 5-year-old, I was like, something's suspect here.
That's wild.
This is a abomination, but apparently it's a thing.
Yeah, my wife's family eats whenever they make chicken cutlets. They eat applesauce with it, so they'll have chicken cutlets and applesauce, which is interesting.
Yeah, German food. There's this thing in Texas. I lived in Texas for 4 years, and it's called Wurstfest. Like Wurstfest. And they'd be like, oh, here's your schnitzel and applesauce. I was like, why are you doing this to my schnitzel? But
that's weird.
Listen, I won't yuck anyone's yum, even though they yucked my yum by putting it on my schnitzel.
Yeah, that's I'm not gonna yuck somebody else's yum, but just because it's your yum doesn't mean I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna keep your yum over there.
That's fascinating. Is there any regional food in Colorado that you are particularly fond of?
They're very nutso about green chili here. Like it just is it permeates.
Yeah.
But so the best I had is like green chili cheese fries. You really can't. I mean, chili cheese fries in general. As long as you keep a cinnamon roll away from it, it's great. So
yeah.
I would say green chili is. But the city I live in is not. I think I've already mentioned. So I live in Colorado Springs. We've got like a lot of chilies. Like it's not, you don't come here because you're like, oh, I really want to eat some good food. So we go, Denver's where all the good food is. So,
oh, okay.
In my opinion.
I love chili. I mean, maybe not year round, but I can get down with some green
There's a
chili.
time and a place. Yeah.
Yeah, time and a place. And in my mind, Colorado's always cold, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I learned something
Thank
new.
you.
I'll add it to
That's
my
the
list
whole
whenever I'm in. Wait, where'd you say you were from again?
Nebraska.
People
pass through it all. I mean, it's really not that different. Like Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, it creates like a memory hole. Iowa, you're just like, I don't know what's going on. I just know I drove through it at one point in my childhood to get somewhere. Is usually people's thought about Nebraska.
I've still never been, but one day, one day I go and I know where I'm stopping multiple times because I'm sure that thing is delicious.
It is.
Okay, so you are making content for the Lorekeepers Inn. Why do you make content?
Well, it's because it's fun. I think it's fun because I'm someone that will talk a lot about a lot of things to people who may not even want to listen. And when you make content, you get to say what you want and you usually find people who are interested. So that's the short answer. The reason that I'm picking this topic is because I think it's so interesting when you walk into a Disney Lorcana tournament or even a league night. It's so interesting that you can even visually see that there's different connoisseurs of the product Lorcana right now.
Yeah.
There's people there for so many different reasons. There are people there because they're like, oh, I really like Disney, and I come here with my like theme park gear, and it's kind of like a Disney meeting.
Yeah.
And they play a deck, and they're trying to get the cool prizes. And then you have people who are like, well, I'm here. I was listening to a Y Breezy show last night, and they kept being like, do you ever go to local? And like that's how they were calling like league now. They're like,
Yeah.
we do locals. And I was like, oh, so some people think about that as it's like a gym, like you got to go to local. And
Yeah.
grind. So it's fascinating to me that there is this little corner of the TCG world where it's all these different people there for different reasons with different experience. And so I like making content kind of being like, my goal is that, I can get people who like the game only for the game's sake to maybe get more interested in the Disney stuff. And the people who are in the Disney stuff say, well, you should be playing the game because it's really fun. So it's like, what if I could just mush? I'm opening gates. I won't keep it. I'm pushing people through it.
Heck yeah. Like the social butterfly of high school, you're trying to get the clicks to mesh.
Yeah.
It
Which
is very
ironic
clicky.
because
Yeah.
I was not social butterfly. Making
Well,
eye contact is really stressful. So
None of us were. That's why I'm always baffled when people in any trading card game are like exclusionary of anyone for anything, because it's like we're all dorks here, like we
Yes.
all got bullied.
Yeah.
Why are we bullying people now?
You're like, wait a minute, I hate that guy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
People in
Yeah.
trading card game houses shouldn't be throwing trading card game stones, I guess.
No, absolutely. Amen, sister. That's a good word.
So-
It's like the spaces, it's sometimes feels sort of like oil and water where they're not meshing, but I do think that it's getting better, where it's like I've seen a little bit of toxicity in both directions, which is like weird because coming from Magic, I'm super used to like hyper competitive people being toxic, but coming over here, it's been weird seeing like the reverse of that, where people are like mean to people that take the game seriously.
That is truly fascinating topic, and I'm glad you brought it up because I have to sometimes check people in my league to be like, hey guys, games are designed to win, so we can't bully people in this room for being excited about that prospect of winning, whatever
Yeah.
that means. Because we'll get people like, we even had a night where they're like, don't bring any good decks tonight, and it's like things like that it's hard because I think there's room for everybody, and it's weird that sometimes people think you have to pick, and it is interesting that I've noticed it locally where people will say, well, we don't want to make this too serious, and I'm like, well, it's not an individual choice how serious you take it. Like I don't
Yeah.
think we all have to be taking it one way or the other. So it is interesting that the inverse is true. Like
Yeah. It is an
instead of
interesting.
filthy casual, it's filthy serious. You're like,
Yeah, like you net decker, like people at our shop will like a lot of the more competitive players have quit coming, or they don't go to league as frequently because it doesn't sometimes feel as welcome as
Yeah.
if you take the game less seriously. But I think that it's just something that we can all grow on together.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about your content. I hope it helps bridge that gap a bit more.
yeah.
It also seems to be
think-
something that Ravensburger cares about with like set championships and stuff is a good way to bridge that gap.
It is, yeah, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't feel bad about not being the best, but you shouldn't feel guilty about being good. Like both,
Yeah.
they can live at the same time because
Yeah.
I don't know, we can't statistically all be in the top 16. That doesn't work. But
Well, if you talk to enough Lorcana players, you might get the vibe that we all actually are good. All of
Yeah.
us, a lot of people that I play are better than Zach Bivens.
yeah, Zach Bivens is even better than Zach Bivens. It's crazy. If they both meet, the
Yeah.
universe ends. It's unfortunate.
Yes. I wanted to talk a little bit about parks, but before I do, Lorekeeper's Inn has a handful of videos out. I know you've recorded some interviews and recorded some pack openings, and I know that you mentioned buying some packs to maybe do some sealed content. Where do you hope the Lorekeeper's Inn will be 1 year from now?
I mean, I hope I'm still. I mean, the good news is there's so many things to talk about. I hope I I hope one day it becomes a two-way conversation. I hope one day people say, "I want to hear you talk about this," because right now I'm just like, "Well, I want to talk about this." So that's one goal, is I want people to be like, to challenge me to look into things and talk about things that maybe I am not an expert on, because I think there's fun in learning about things in both directions, like me teaching, but also learning by people telling me to do things. And yeah, I hope it's just a place where people walk away and say, "I learned a thing," and I hope I have 100 subscribers on YouTube. I was gonna say 1,000, because then you can
Heck yeah.
monetize your videos, and that's years away. But
Yeah.
if I have 100, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that you can do that. I think you're at like 50 something right now, so you can
No, I'm at
definitely
20.
get there.
It's
Oh,
rough. I'm gonna have to start like going to people's houses and like knock on their doors, be like, "Can I see your phone for a second?" No, nothing, no big deal, and just go to YouTube and subscribe.
well, it'll happen for sure. I mean, yeah, we're trying to grow our YouTube as well, but the YouTube algorithm giveth and the YouTube algorithm taketh
It's
away.
true.
Yeah.
Ironically,
So
my most successful video I ever put out was Snow White, and I'm like, I couldn't have imagined, but something happened, and the algorithm's like, "We got to get people on this Snow
yeah,
White video."
people love it
So,
for sure. Um, Also, talk about limited stuff around set release. That really helps give us a bump in the algorithm
yes,
because
yeah,
everybody's
and
searching for it.
I think the reason, like, I mean, you mentioned limited, and I've actually, I purchased 6 packs with the goal. It's funny because I wanted to do a video of how to build a limited deck, and I was like, but I'm going to put asterisks all over it. This is how I build it. This will get you in the top 8 75% of the time, because I'm not great at limited, but I enjoy it. And I think I'm somebody where, sometimes just the act of watching someone do something that you are intimidated to do makes you go, "Oh, well, I can do that." So like that's my goal, is to kind of show that, limited can seem something where you're like, "Well, I don't know enough. I mean, that's like the beauty of limited, is that unlike constructed, you just kind of learn the rules, and every time you play, you get better just by the nature of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's fun to do that, and I think if more people are encouraged to go to limited, it naturally grows the game anyway. Because like
Yeah.
you said, I think to me once, that when you go to limited, you get cards, and when you get more cards, you are able to do more stuff, and it's like this like engine of getting into a game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good way to like grow your experience and grow your collection in like a very natural, linear way. I think that I was gonna ask, did the packs survive? Did they make it to a video, or did you open them before you were able to record?
No, they still have survived. I'm the strongest person. I'm the strongest soldier. No, so they are there. I bought 2 booster boxes and 6 packs, and I did my first video doing like tabletop, and the logistics are bananas. Like, I think before I made content, I was like, yeah, you just make videos, but it's all sorts of things. And so
Yeah.
I made one video so far where I opened a booster box and I got 3 legendaries, which was really sad. But long story short, I haven't done it yet, but I'm like committed to it, and
Heck yeah.
it's a goal, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Everything's logistic. I think I told somebody, like, my advice for content creators is like, just be prepared to learn something all the time, because you're constantly having to learn a new skill, a new program, a new
Yeah.
equipment.
You learn
kinda
it, and
crazy.
it's like you learn how to do it poorly.
Yes, that's the other.
Yeah, that's what you have to
'Cause
do, and you're like, wow, getting good is actually really hard at this thing.
Yes, yeah, and then you see like, oh, there's a YouTube video. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna watch that. I'll just figure it out. And so
Yeah.
that's a personal thing. But
No, I'm the
so
same
yeah.
way. I'm the same way for sure. I appreciate your restraint, because sometimes it's hard when you get those packs to like you buy them for content. It's like, well, I'll just go ahead and take a peek and see what's inside, and
Yeah.
then next thing you know, it's ruined.
I know. You wake
It's
up an hour
ruined.
later covered in plastic. You're like, what happened?
We have no control.
I bought 2 booster packs for a giveaway once, and man, not knowing. I almost want to put a waiver, like, you can have these packs, but never tell me if there is an enchanted. I
Don't
can't
tell
live
me.
knowing that.
Yeah, you can't live with that risk, knowing. You just gotta let that one go.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Disney parks, because that's sort of an area of expertise of yours. And on the show, Taylor and I are big fans of people that are really into things, and you are really into Disney parks. So I'm not gonna like quiz you or anything, because I don't know anything about the parks either. But we had a listener question recently, and I saved it
Okay.
with knowing that you were gonna come on. In our Discord, if you want to ask us a question, you can hop in our Discord or comment on a YouTube video. We'll get to it eventually. In our Discord, City Noise said, "What's your favorite Disney park ride? What's your favorite Disney park food? And in general, what do you like or not like about the parks?" Do you want to go first, or do you need some time to think about that?
No, because I'll start with the end of it, because I think the thing that's the hardest about Disney parks is it's they don't tell you this, because why would they? But it's a skill based activity.
Yeah.
Because it's such a big thing to say I'm going to a theme park. It's big because you have to go there, you have to spend money, and there's like things to know. So like my favorite thing is, once you are a theme park person, I think that's why there's like such a big line between like theme park people and not. Is because once you've got the skill of how to do a theme park, you just are like on a next level. Like, like, oh, this is how you ride the rides at the right times. This is the good foods. This is what you want to skip, and the pressure to do everything, it just melts away. So, like, you'll see, like, I mean, at one point, you might be like, should I take my kid to Disney? And what, you like it? And I'd be like, I don't know how you're going to do it, because I've only gone as a childless person. So, like, it's such a different, it takes different skill level, different reasons. And so that's the thing that makes it hard, is, like, to go, you either need to have a Sherpa that's like, I will take you up Disney Mountain, or just relinquish and just set expectations. So like, I'm just going to be there, and we do what we do, and that's what it is, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that's, I think, the bad part. Because have you been to Disney World or Disneyland?
I went once when I was 6.
Okay. Well, so that you didn't have a lot of planning to do. That's the
No.
good news. Your family probably wasn't like, this is on you.
I was
You
just
have to
there.
figure it out. Yeah. And I mean, you'll get to the age probably where you will be like, yeah, I should probably take my kids some time to a place, a theme park. And it's a lot. That was, so I worked there briefly. I did what was called the Disney College Program. And sometimes you'll hear families that are like, we got into the biggest fight. It was so embarrassing. And like, as someone that works there, families are put to their limit at Disney World at a way that it's just be fine. Like, that's normal to have a fight where, so what me and my friends would do is we would, when we were around the parks, we just go to the parks on your day off. We would take clandestine pictures of children just laying face down on the ground in different locations, because that's a very common sight. And to the parents, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm like, no, we do this every day. We take pictures. That sounds weird that I'm taking pictures, but it's just funny, because you'll be like in the middle of, like the Small World gift shop, and there's this kid just like, I'm out. And
Had enough.
Yeah.
That was our problem, was like my mom, when we went, it was like a big family event, because they had been saving up for a long time to take me and my brother to Disney World. And so when we went, my mom was like, we're doing everything. And then me and my brother were like dying and exhausted and crying. And it was like, there's probably a photo of us, laying down on the ground somewhere in Disney World.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one thing that's important to me, is be realistic about it. Because I think sometimes you'll hear theme park bloggers or creators be like, it's great, it's perfect. And it is. But I mean, there's so many things that can happen on any given day, whether it's, getting tired, weather. And so just being realistic, like, what are your goals for the day, things like that. So my favorite thing is that there's so many ways to have a good day. That's like the thing that I love about going to Disney World and Disneyland and Tokyo Disney, is once you pay the ticket and you walk in the park, like, everything from there on, it's like a bubble of you. It's a place designed to have a good day. Like, there's no TVs playing, there's no news. You're just in a place where they're like, guess what? This is designed for whatever you're wanting to have. So I think that's really nice, to just have a nice day where there's nice music playing in the background.
Yeah.
Everyone around is generally happy. The large majority of people are wearing silly hats. Like, that's great. it's the same reason I love going to like any kind of like live sports. It's that I think it's called collective effervescence is the term, where like
Ooh,
because
that's
everyone's there having a
nice.
good day, you just feel like this bubbliness in the air of just a day of people being like, wow, we're having fun. Um,
That's a
I love
hey, I
that.
learned a new term for sure. That's not that makes
Yeah,
sense to me.
because yeah, you
Um,
feel it right when you're at like a
yeah,
concert or something where you're like,
you know,
wow, look at all of us, we're all
good
doing
energy.
this.
Yeah, absolutely. I felt that at a Taylor Swift concert. It was a spiritual experience.
I
Um,
went to one too. Yeah, I was like, is this how it feels to go to
am I
like
dead?
a religious like thing? And
I was gonna okay. Favorite park ride and favorite food.
okay, favorite park ride. That is hard, but I would go with a people mover. Because it's this little. Do you know what the people mover is? The
Nope,
Tomorrow
I'm googling it.
Transitland people mover. So it is. It used to be in Disneyland, but now it's only in Disney World. And it is essentially a magnet-driven train ride that's just above Tomorrowland. So it's like one story up, and it just takes you around Tomorrowland. And I love it because there's normally not a very long line. It's about 10 minutes, so you're sitting for 10 minutes. And it is immaculate ambiance. Like you are just taken in the day, and it's just the breeze is going by. There's a little guy talking about like, "Oh, we're in space," and I'm like, "We're not in space," but that's
This is
okay.
sick.
Yeah, and it's the most. It's as I get older, I appreciate sitting and taking in the splendor, and I'm like talking like once I reach 70.
Yeah.
But it is nice to sit and have a nice time, and the People Mover is the best way to sit and have a nice time. And I love Tomorrowland because I love retrofuturism. I love
Yeah.
that there's a brief time in the 50s and 60s when they're like, the future is going to be so good. And then they're like, actually, we were wrong. It's only
Yeah.
apocalyptic movies from this
Yeah.
point on. We were wrong.
It's
So,
it's very different. That's
but I
cool though.
love that.
The People Mover, very clear name.
Yeah, yeah, and it is quite literally a people mover. It just
Yeah.
gets people out of the park and in seats, and so
Moves
that's
them.
my favorite ride. If I wanted to be like cool, I mean, technically, I love Splash Mountain because, and you might think like, oh, she likes it. No, I just like a mountain that splashes. Now it's Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I haven't ridden it, but I love long rides because of the fact that it's the cost benefit. You waited in
Yeah.
line and now you get the benefit of a long ride. And that one, it's got it all. It's got music. It's got drops. It's got the smell of theme park water, which
Yeah.
is bromelated. It's not chlorine. It's brom. I don't know.
It's a
I'm
very
only a general
distinct
science
smell.
major. Yeah, it's a very distinct smell. Musky water smell. So
Yeah.
that would be my second place is Splash Mountain in any iteration I can find it.
Yeah.
And favorite food would be. Ooh, that's so hard. I really love Disney food. I think it's so fun to just be like a hedonistic, like I'm gonna eat everything for like a
Yeah.
week.
It's
the point where
wild.
to the point where you're eating things and you're not hungry because you're like, I have to. But the thing that jumped to my mind is it's actually in Disneyland. So I don't know if they said Disney World. Did they just say parks?
But park.
Okay. Bengal barbecue in Disneyland is just meat skewers. And theme park food can be, sometimes just hot dogs and burgers.
Yeah.
Which are great, by the way. But especially because Casey's Corner, they had, for a time, unlimited hot cheese. So you could just really hot cheese up your
Oh.
dog, which was really nice. But apparently people burned themselves. And so we couldn't have cheese anymore. We can't have anything in America.
Because people burn themselves with the cheese.
Yeah. Yeah. Cheese burns. And
That
gosh.
is so funny to me.
It's really sad in that I don't know if it
Oh
came
my
back. For a
goodness.
while you had to ask for it. Be like, please give me the hot cheese.
Someone was
I
just
need-"
underneath it, just like testing the limits, just straight into their mouth, and they're like,
It
"Sorry."
was me, and that's why I started my podcast. No,
Yes.
so that's a close second is Casey's hot dog, but the Bengal barbecue, it's so good. Like theme park food is just a lot of sugar. It's just nice to have a spiced meat. They
Yeah.
have like seasoned meats that they grill, and then you just get a basket of skewers, and it is wonderful. And every trip, no matter how hungry or not hungry I am, I'm like, I'm gonna go eat my meat skewers.
Yeah.
So,
Get some protein going for sure.
yeah, I feel like I did something for myself. I'm like, I'm pretty healthy actually.
Yeah, I treated myself. Had some no carb food.
Yeah, one. Well, I mean, they have
Once-
breadsticks with it, so.
Oh, okay,
what can
okay,
you do?
okay. Yeah, I mean, we're not animals. I guess for myself, favorite Disney park ride, I only went once when I was 6, so I only remember 2 rides. I remember the Buzz Lightyear ride. where you're like shooting aliens.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool because I was like, I could protect this planet. I remember having that feeling afterwards. I have no idea what my score was or if I shot a single alien, but I had a good time.
Yeah.
And then we rode Rock and Roller Coaster.
Oh, with Aerosmith? Not with. They were with you, but no, the themed one with Aerosmith.
Wait, that's in Disney, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
they have the Aerosmith theme rock. And yeah, it's indoors.
Yes. So I did the Rock and Roller Coaster. That's the first roller coaster I ever rode. And then afterwards, when we got off, my mom told the people that were working there, oh, this was their first roller coaster. And the people working there were super nice. And they were like, that's so cute. Do you want to go again? And we were like, yeah, let's do it again. Like, they were just going to let us cut the line. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you the VIP treatment. And I was at the age where when my parents wanted to say something to me but didn't want me to know what they were saying, they would spell it out, you know?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, did your parents ever do that?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
it's
They're
like,
oh, we're going to go on a WALK. I mean, that's what I do for my dog. But
yes.
Children are the same.
Yes, it's the same thing with kids.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that he was spelling that, so I didn't know that they were going to do it. Make the ride VIP is what I thought, which is they're going to make it go even faster. So in my brain, I was like, I picked up on what the adults are doing. They're trying to make me get on this ride, and it's going to go even faster. So I was like, no thanks. So I went and got ice cream with my aunt instead. So those are the two rides that I remember, and I liked both of them. Food, I don't remember food because we took all of our own food because we just ate snacks because we were trying to save money.
Yeah.
And what did I like or not like? I was really tired. Now I have no idea. I haven't been as an adult, so I have no idea what to expect. But I like wild food, so that would probably be the thing that interests me the most is like seeing the different hedonistic food abominations that exist.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, gosh, it feels bad. It feels like peak. The worst things about being like a person in modern society is what I become when I'm in Disney. Because I'm like, I'll just buy it and take a bite. And I'm like, well, that's not very ethical, but it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned that they tried. So what we do when we worked at Disney, we call those magic moments. So you could make magic moments for people. And it's either service recovery. Like one time a bird took my cronut. I got a cronut and a bird took it. And they said, you can have another cronut.
What's a corona?
Or it'd be funny. They took the beer. A cronut is a croissant donut.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense. Keep going.
Yeah, this bird took my beer and I was so mad. I was still mad, though, that the bird took my...
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is at that point, I knew they had magic moments, so I did loudly talk about how a bird took my cronut, because I knew someone would hear and give me another one. I was
this
like,
moment is so
bird.
unmagical. This mundane moment is terrible.
When I worked there, so you would get assignments, like when you work, you'd be like, oh, I'm clocked in, and it would tell you, you need to go here. And sometimes when we had enough people, you'd be tasked to go do a magic moment. And I will never forget being like, we wouldn't want to do it because part of it would take coercing a child to want a magic moment. And as you have shown, children don't trust strangers.
No.
They are programmed not to. And I'm like, hey, do you want to help me go find the genie? And a girl's like, no.
No.
Like, well,
that genie can find himself.
Yeah, it is just, yeah. So then I'm kind of like becoming like a salesperson for magic. I'm like, because you had to find like the perfect family where it's like parents that look like they'd be up for it and a kid that looks like it's just them. Because you don't want there to be older kids because you don't want to be like, hey, these older kids, buzz off. I'm talking to this cute one.
Yeah.
So like you'd have to find like a single child family. It was, and so
What do you think is like the ideal age range to take a kid to Disney? Like what's the sweet spot?
I think it's hard because like you don't want to wait too long because there's like that weird time where suddenly they're like, there's like this like dark spot in Disney where I think it starts at like 13 to 25 where you're like, I will not let any Disney culture in and you're closed off to it.
Yeah.
So I think you got to get in before that window shuts. But I think my personal, I'm not a parent, but mine would be when they're old enough to walk and carry their own things. I think that's the ideal age. Because when you see parents that are like, they're pushing them around and they like look like they're like, they're on the Oregon Trail, like they've got all their belongings. Like that doesn't look fun for anyone. So I think if they're at the age where they can carry their own water bottle and they can walk for most of the day, whatever age that is, I think that's the right time.
Sweet. we'll do some time trials and test her endurance before we take her to the.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can't sit down. We have to see how good you are.
Yeah, get those knees up. Get those knees up if you want to see Mickey.
But you will see parents put kids in strollers and like the kids like crinked in there because they're like 7 and I'm
Yeah.
like, I think they all right.
It's too,
Whatever.
Yeah, they're too.
You do what you
old
need
for
to do
this.
to get through this day, I guess.
Yeah, I told Sky, I'm like, I have one Disney trip left in me, so like, I want to go once. So however many kids we're having, once they're in that age range, we'll go one time. Because in my mind,
like in your life you have 2, and you're like, we already used up one of the
yeah, we used one
wishes.
Yeah, so we used one card. We used one of the Disney cards. The Disney Punch card only has one left, because that's just my parents. It's like, it was just so, I feel like, unfun for them because they were trying to make it so fun for us. Where in my mind it's like this big ordeal, where maybe I've turned it into something that it's not. You know, like in my mind, Disney parks aren't magical. It's like a mountain that you have to climb.
It is. I mean, my goodness. And there are mountains. Let's talk about no.
Yeah.
I will say, yeah, that's why I try to be realistic. And whenever I have friends that have kids that are like, what should I do? I'm like, pick 2, maybe 3 things. That those are the things you want to do that day. And those are your success factors. Everything else is confetti. And be prepared to go back to the hotel at any moment and restart the day. Because, like, I think that's the thing, too, is people are like, we're here, we can't. So, yeah, just be prepared to be like, no, we're going to go take a breather. We're all going to sit in a dark room quietly. And then we're going to come back out.
Yeah.
So I think you just need like a Disney therapist. I can provide that service to people maybe. Is be like, hey, we can get through this.
Disney doula. So what would be your pitch to someone that's not interested in going to a Disney park? Like, I'm not super opposed to the idea, but I'm also just not excited about it. Like, how would you recommend someone even beginning the task of wanting to go to a Disney park? Like, in my mind, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I guess I would just Google Disneyland tickets. But do you have a recommended approach to like trying to visit a Disney park? And if so, which one would you go to?
I think it depends on the person. I think it's like if you first, what I would tell them, especially if they're a Lorcana fan, I think the reason that people like card games and the reason that like records are coming back, like Viz vinyls, and people are buying like cameras, like digital cameras, is it feels good to interact with the things you like. It feels good to like have something that you are a part of and you're experiencing in real time. So kind of capitalizing on the fact that the reason you go to the Disney park is because you like this media and you are now interacting with it in a very different way than you can in any other capacity. So the 2 type of people are people who want to take a vacation. They're like, we want to go on a Disney vacation. And in that case, you're going to Florida. You're getting, I call it the Disney bubble, because like there's a chance if you go straight from the airport to Disney, you don't even realize Orlando's like a city because you briefly pass through some neighborhoods and then you're in this like world of Disney, which is a store as well. But so that's like, I think that's one person. If you're somebody who wants to just have a week where you're like, no thoughts, only Disney, I say go to Disney World, because it's very possible you literally get there and then you never see the news or think about cars or anything. You get on their public transportation, you eat there, you can even prepay for your food. So if you're that kind of person, then I say go to a Disney World vacation, get in there and just like lose yourself to the Disney World. But if you're somebody where you're like, I just want to go to a Disney park, I want to see Star Wars Land, I want to meet Mickey Mouse, I got to do it, I got to meet that guy. Then Disneyland, I think, is the other good option, because that truly is like, you could do it in 2 days. You could go there, have a day, and then go to Southern California and do something else. Because I know some people like the thought of using a PTO week, which I know, grown-ups, PTO, it's such a bummer. If that stresses you out and you're like, I cannot think about using my one vacation a year and just doing one thing, then I think Disneyland is the way to go, and just spending like 2 days in Disneyland and then going to San Diego or going to LA stuff. Because Disneyland is so small compared to Disney World, and that's what's the beauty of it, is it's just you can really get in there and have just like concentrated magic, like the straight from the source magic.
So less options as well. I feel like it would be less overwhelming. Which
exactly. It's harder to mess it up. You're just get in and then do something, and that's the day. Versus Disney World, there are times where you're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm scared.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to start. I would just want to go to the Animal Kingdom.
Oh, that's secretly my favorite park. That's like the hottest take. Is it's so good. It's so good.
When people don't like it, I loved it when I was a kid.
You were cultured. Um, so when they open Animal Kingdom, they have this funny commercial, if you look it up, where they go, and I feel weird making the impression, but they go, "Welcome to Animal Kingdom. It's not a zoo," which is not a zoo, but they made it like perhaps an African word, and they were like selling it as like, guess what? This isn't a zoo; it's a theme park. And it's both, and I love it. I love that you can just stand and eat a churro and watch monkeys for like 30 minutes, and then
Yeah.
go ride a roller coaster. It's a bummer because there's 5 rides, so you're like, I think I did it, unfortunately. Like
Yeah.
you kind of burn through the park pretty fast, but you can't beat the ambiance there.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked all the animals.
Oh,
I still
it's so
love going to
nice.
a zoo or going to a aquarium.
Me
It's
too.
like my favorite thing to do in a city.
Yeah, and it's hard because I think there's people that get it and there's people that don't. Because my husband, like, I'll be like, look, and he's like, he'll stop and he'll like look at the otter and be like, and then walk away. I'm like, no, we gotta stand here and really take it in.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, there's people of zoo mind and people who are like, I get it, that is an
Yeah.
otter, and I'm like, no,
Yeah, I
I want to
think
know him.
it's
I want to
cool.
know his personality.
It's cool to see the animals that you would never see in real life. I'm a big fan of owls. So anytime a place has like a night or it has like a nocturnal bird exhibit, I love that. But those are kind of rare.
Yeah.
But we've talked about parks. Let's talk a little bit about Limited.
Yes.
What is your experience with Limited so far?
I got into Limited purely because for a while getting packs was so hard that the only way you could get packs is if you signed up for a limited event nearby.
Yeah.
So chapter 1, it's like, hey, you have to do this event and you're going to get 4 packs.
Yep.
Usually it was you get 4 packs for showing up and then 1 pack if you stay. Like that's how like the weenie. I don't know if that's an industry standard to have like a little pack for staying.
No.
So
It's
the
usually a
thought
pack per
process is-
win.
Well, so the thought process of it for listeners at home is that because some product was so rare, you show up, you get your packs, and you go, see ya. And so the little weenie on a stick is to say, hey, but if you stay and you treat this like a real experience, you get a pack. So it was kind of like an incentive to not make people be like, thanks.
Nice.
But luckily now that's not a thing as much anymore. You can get packs pretty readily.
Yeah.
Unless it was first chapter, and then that's who knows. But so I got into it purely because of necessity. And then I liked it because I would then use it as a reason to explain to my husband why I bought another booster box. Because I'd say, well, we're going to play sealed.
Yeah.
Me and you, we're going to play a game with this. This isn't
Yeah.
just me buying cards. This is an activity.
This is a date
So
night. These aren't cards.
Exactly. Yeah. And so then that was the second way. And I still, to this day, I use it as a reason to buy cards. And because it's, sometimes buying cards feels mentally bad because you are quite literally buying not much.
Yeah.
It's a gambling, but
Yeah.
when you give it a reason, whatever it is,
Yeah.
sealed, draft, or the new kind of 2-pack format, you're like, well, I'm making the most of this pack.
Yeah.
I'm actually using it versus just consuming it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you get what you want and you get value out of it in terms of experience of playing with the cards instead of just opening up and looking at the back 3. You actually, put the cards to use.
Yeah, and
Give
it
them
gets
a
you to
purpose.
appreciate
Yeah.
you appreciate them in ways you didn't before. Like
Yeah.
there's some cards that sometimes I see and I'm like, I've never seen that card before.
Yeah.
Limited, at least you've seen most cards once or twice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll have a vanilla 3/4 that costs 3. We'll play that all day.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, you mentioned the pack battle thing. That's something that you mentioned wanting to talk about on the show. So for our listeners at home, what is the pack battle? Is that what it's called?
I've seen different. I don't know, and that's the thing. You mentioned it, I started like, oh, I didn't Google it because I think it's somebody like who is a creator of the game.
Ryan Miller was playing it in Atlanta.
So I don't know if he made it, but Ryan Miller, he was like going around being like, let's do it. And I do think it's brilliant because it only takes 2 packs. 4, I guess, if you want a friend. So 2 packs per person, and I think there's 4 rules. You have 2 packs. You have to start with 2 ink, so you use whatever the puzzle card or the rules thing is, and you start with 2 ink, and then you have a 24 card deck. And when you run out of cards, you start over and you just shuffle and put your discard. And you only are going to 10. So the reason I like it is because when I go to League, I'm sick and I feel the need to buy a pack no matter what. And so then I can say, well, who wants to do a little a little throwdown, and it's fun because A, you can you find you did something with those 2 packs. B, there's a way you do it where you sleeve it without looking. So as you're playing, you're also revealing to yourself what you pulled.
Yeah.
And you're internally being like, I think there's still something out there. And I recommend sleeving it because there is that mental stress of like, what if I pulled 2 legendaries in Enchanted?
You definitely got to sleeve it.
So I think it's just like it's fun all around. Like it's quick. You get to use the cards. It's a way to reveal the cards in a way that's kind of funny because you are like, this, and you can't really have a strategy.
Yeah.
You can kind of.
Yeah.
But it's fun to the beauty part of being an introvert is that you find ways to talk to other people, and this is a reason to. And so you can be like, hey, do you want to do this? Or you can teach them, and it's not a lot of buy-in. And you can play it with 3 people, like, because what happened is I got 2 people, and they're like, well, we both want to play. Should we take turns? They're like, well, we could all play at the same time.
Yeah.
And you can. It's nonsensical, and it doesn't, like, it's kind of silly, but at least it's fun. So,
it's a different way to think about the game. I think that's something I appreciate about Limited in general is it forces you to, like, understand the basics of, like, the flow of a game of Lorcana. Yes. And 2-pack format, you're not building a deck, but
yes,
it would be fun to be like, okay, how can I turn this into 10 lore? Like
Limited
fun.
when we talk about draft and sealed, there I think obviously is you're making decisions. This one, you're done. You're not making any decisions. The only decision you're making is and everything's inkable. That's the other rule. So basically you're playing the cards you have. So in that case, I can see why you're not going to have a competitive 2-pack circuit because that'd be just, that literally is chance with a tiny bit of skill.
Yeah.
But it is fun to just have as an option because, most of these tournaments and things like that, there's lots of time to kill. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, that sounds fun. I need to try it out. I'll convince Taylor to do that. Yeah, no, that sounds fun. If any of you at home try it out, let us know what you think. If any of you just open a busted set of 2 packs and want to share what that looks like, hop in our Discord, or you can tag me and Katie on Twitter. But to wrap it up, let's talk a little bit more about the Lorekeeper's Inn because you have a few videos out by this point. I'm sure you have 100 subscribers on YouTube when this is released. So you've talked a little about what Lorekeeper's Inn is, the vision that you have of it being this hybrid of the different aspects of Lorcana and the Disney World in general. You've also had some guests on. Who would you say is your dream guest to have on Lorekeeper's Inn?
Well, I have one dream guest, and I think I already blew my shot because I emailed him twice, and I was like 3 times. That's too many, right? But there's one person who does parks content called Offhand Disney, and it's funny because, and this is now I'm gonna get like police are going to show up. But I know he lives in my area because he did a video about Lorcana. And in it, he went and bought a starter deck. And he's like, yeah, the starter decks are only $45. I'm like, no! So, like, for so many reasons, I want to talk about it just because, he's, like, a content creator I love because he talks about the subplots of Disney. Like, there's so many, like, there's something called the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. And you only know about it if you spend time looking at, like, the queues and stuff. So that's my dream guest is because I'm like, please, I want to talk about A, I want to be like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And B, I want to talk about how Disney can use those weird secret subplots to weave into Lorcana. So that's a dream guest, but now I'm already like, I know where you live and I've already emailed. So it's not going to happen because of that. But I also, I've gotten some of my dream guests already. Like me, Becky's been on my show. I'm here. So, I mean, it's so crazy. The community, it's small and so nice. And so I've already done some dreams. So that's the good news.
Heck yeah. No, that's cool. There's definitely some shots that we shoot as content creators that they're never returned. And then you see those people show up on other people's podcasts and you're like, yes, that was
I know. And it's hard because I know what it would feel like if I got an email like, no, thank you. And then a second one comes, you're like, oh, I see. But a third, you're like, I need to find how to
block
get
this.
A new security system or something. So
you're like, no, I live right around the corner. Trust me.
Yeah, it's not weird. I'm like, this is a little okay. Oh no, but yeah, I think with Disney, there's so many. I love people who get into. There's this one content creator. If you guys ever want to treat yourself to a nice afternoon, Defunctland. He talks a lot about Extinct Disney, and he has this video. I think it's 2 hours about how FastPass works. It's one of the most brilliant pieces of content I've ever seen. It should win an Oscar. It's just all about how the logistics of theme park lines work. It's brilliant. Defunctland, you deserve. It's so funny. He only releases content every once in a while. He's so good. He's like Jenny Nicholson, where he only will release a content like once a year. When it happens, everyone's like, "Yeah, you've given," and bask in the glory of it. It's so good.
Is that the person that did the 4-hour video about why the Star Wars hotel sucked?
Yeah.
I've heard
They drop a
good
banger and then
things.
they're like, see you later. And their content is so good. Their insights are so brilliant. Defunctland will just go so deep, and you just feel it's crazy to watch a video that long about theme park lines. And I'm sad I can't watch it for the first time again.
But I love that stuff. Like, I'll watch that. I love just like super niche stuff. Like, why would you ever think about that, you know? But it's cool to see people go deep on stuff like that. So speaking of going deep, what is movie night at the inn?
Yeah, so I love the Disney movies, and one of the things that I realized is I had never seen pretty much any of the Disney sequels. So there was a time in the 90s, starting around like 92-ish, where it was the Eisner era. So Eisner era is like Michael Eisner. And so he did some great things, but he also was spaghettiing at the wall in a lot of ways. And so some of that spaghetti was direct-to-video sequels. And the rabbit hole goes down deep, to use a Disney term. We're talking Hunchback of Notre Dame 2.
What?
A sequel to the Victor Hugo novel. We're talking, we got Mulan 2. So the first one I did was with Becky, and it's Little Mermaid 2. And, yeah, it's Ursula's return, but it's actually her sister. But it's also the sister's voiced by Ursula's voice actor, Pat Carroll.
That's hilarious.
And it's hard because I'm something where I don't want to just be like, it's easy to make negative content. It's very easy to make fun of things. But, so it's all done in jest. Because I truly love a movie where you can tell the creative pressure was off. You can tell that, like, some people sat in a room and they're like, go make a movie. And they're like, all right. And, like, they just did. I love those kind of movies. So the movie night at the inn, the goal is to kind of have a guest.
1 second. My wife is yelling. I just want to make sure she's not currently going in labor.
Yeah, that seems important.
She's not in labor. We're good.
Okay, that's good. That'd be funny. I end it. And this is the end of the episode.
I'm so sorry. So you were talking about Little Mermaid 2. I'm sorry. I sort of lost train of thought because I heard her yelling.
You're just like doing that processing where you're like, no. Yeah, so the movie night at the end, and the whole goal is to basically have me and a guest watch the movie and kind of answer 3 questions. Is it better, equal, or worse than the original? Do you think it needs to come to the game Lorcana? And where does it rate on the shelf? So the shelf is a tier list, but I'm just calling it the shelf. Candidly, I'm scared because the first movie, I was like, what is this, like a D? And Becky's like, I hate to tell you this, but this is a B. This is a B tier movie. So that's stressful for me because I'm already like, this is bad. And she's like, no, that's good. This is a good one. I mean, to give you an idea, there's 3 songs. One of them was a reprise. And the soundtrack, 3 of them are just Sebastian's singing covers. It's a 7-song album. So.
Wow.
It's a lot of creative freedom. It's a lot of things. Like, this isn't Frozen 2. This is just some people. It's not even Disney Studios. It's called Disney Toons. So that's one series I'm doing is, go work through the 28 of them, 29. There's 28 left.
Well, I'm looking at the list over here, and I see a S tier. You can go ahead and put an extremely goofy movie up at the top.
Okay. All right. So okay. I'll just put it there because probably. That one's the most, there's a couple I've heard humans talk about, and that's a good sign, right?
That's the only one of these that I knew existed.
Yeah. And then the rest of them. So yeah, if there's any, I've already put aside Kronk's New Groove for Why Breezy. And And so, yeah, I'm just like, if anybody wants to go on this journey. I'm very excited. There's one I'm very excited about, and it's Brother Bear 2 because I've never seen Brother Bear 1, and I'm so excited to watch Brother Bear 2 first. I'm just thrilled about
Yeah,
that.
I think
So,
that the plot will probably be understandable.
maybe that's the thing. Who knows? Like, does it stand alone? Is it like Godfather 2, where people are like, oh, no,
Yeah.
Brother Bear 2 is when the series really takes off. So
You
that's what that series is.
No, that's cool. That's a great idea. I'm happy to talk about an extremely goofy movie.
Okay.
I
I'll put
think
you on
my
the
friend
shelf.
group is dressing up as that for Halloween this year,
That's good.
as various characters. But if you get to it and I'm still deep in the world of raising a child, I understand. But this is a
Yeah.
cool idea. Are there any other series or anything that you're excited about exploring?
Yeah, so next month I'm kicking off the Eras tour, where I will be doing each Disney era and talking about like what defines the Disney era. I think one that everyone knows, is the Disney Renaissance era that started with Little Mermaid, where basically like Disney was making some I don't want to say stinkers, but hard. The Dark Ages is what they call the age before it. And so Disney Renaissance is where they're like Banger, Banger, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King. They couldn't stop. They're like on fire. So the Eras tour will be going through each era and talking about, what started the era, what was defining about the era, and how is it represented in Lorcana, and things that we're hoping to see. Because that's something, right now we're at the point where we're like, all right, we've got 57 Beast cards.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some other stuff we could see. So talking about those kind of things too.
I want to see Pocahontas.
I don't know. I feel like that's such a interesting thing. Like, can they make a Lorcana card based on a real person? Like,
I don't know.
I know, but at least we can do Miko and,
Yeah, or some of the songs.
yes. Oh,
Really,
yeah, 'cause the
I want
songs
to
are
see Colors
so
of the
good.
Wind. That I love the music. I loved that movie growing up, but Colors of the Wind would be awesome to see as a card.
It'd be so cool to make it like colorless mana or something. Well, I guess we don't really have color. I don't know, but to do something there where it's like
Yeah.
it's all colors now.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
If you have this card or this item, you can play outside of the two colors or something. I don't know.
Some-
Scientists will figure it out. But
Yeah, we'll let Ryan Miller get it narrowed down. But
Exactly.
we want 10%, Ryan.
Yes, exactly. A trade.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a cool series. I guess next time we chat, either on this pod or on yours, I'll bring some homework for you. Maybe I'll send you some obscure Disney stuff to solve for me, because you said
Yeah.
you wanted it to be collaborative. You wanted people to ask you
Exactly.
questions, and I definitely have some questions about Disney because, I consumed it passively growing up, but now I've sort of fallen out of that. You talking about like the 13 to 25 window.
Yeah,
Well, now
right.
I'm-
Where you're just like,
Yeah. Now I'm 29 and having a kid, and so I'm sure I'll be back into the world of Disney soon. So I
Yeah.
think I might have some questions for you.
and I will have some answers as long as it's not about Brother Bear 1.
Okay,
And 2.
perfect. It won't be.
That's
It
okay.
won't
Good.
be. So let's wrap up with a Pack 4 Pick 12. So this segment that we do is a recurring segment where we call it Pack 4 Pick 12 because when you're drafting, you get 4 packs. And pick 12 is the 12th pick. It's the last card somebody just hands you. You don't get to pick it. It's usually a stinker that doesn't make it in your deck. So the segment is something this week or something recently that's sort of just like maybe a pet peeve or something that's just sort of like slightly annoying. It's not meant to like yuck anybody else's yum. I'm not going to go after chili and cinnamon rolls here, but maybe it's like, people talking on speakerphone in public, things like that.
Yeah.
So do you have one of those locked and loaded?
I do. And it's, like I said, it's, to each their own. But I'm somebody where I deal with being patient. And I'm also very anxious, just naturally. Just that's kind of my steady state is just anxious. So the thing that I have a hard time with, and if you do this, it's fine because it's fun to do, I'm sure. But when people in the upkeep, they get their cards ready and they pull it and then they make a little, ooh, or a, that's not what I needed, or oh, that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
The cousin to this is when you do a whole new world and they say thank you and you're like, I didn't need that. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm already stressed out about playing a whole new world. I don't need your comments. So,
Hey, you deserve that for playing a whole new world. That's on you.
Yeah, it's true, right? That's why I took it. I was like, I honestly, like, I called it Chekhov's A Whole New World, is because all I can think about is like, there's a whole new world on the table, and I have to fire it, and I don't know when.
Yeah.
So that's mine, is when people add in-game commentary about things I can't see, that I'm like, are you doing this to mess with me? Is it because it's fun? Because it's messing with me a little
Yeah.
bit. And like, and I always think like, if you, because when you watch like pros play, they aren't doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe they'll like raise their
Mind
eyebrows,
games.
but yeah, being like, ooh, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
please just play the card. It's too stressful. I can't live like this.
That's
So
why
that-
just ignore them. That's what I do. If my opponent says anything to me, I don't even listen to it. I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because
It's
I've been
in
tricked
draft, they do it
before.
too.
Yeah, like people try to trick you. They'll be like, they're like, uh-oh, I'm about to have 7 ink or whatever, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have be prepared, but I'm not factoring what you just said into that decision. Other
Yeah.
people will be like, why don't you just quest with everything? You could win next turn. It's like, no, let me make my own decisions, you know.
I know, right? I'm like, don't get out of my head, Charles. Yeah, people do that in draft too, where they'll look and they'll be like, "This is a really hard choice," and then like you
Yeah.
get it, you're like, "What were you talking about?"
Yeah.
Because you're like, so the commentary, I appreciate it because it is fun. Talking, everyone's allowed to.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they're doing it to me, and like I'm just like, I can't. I'm already struggling here, and you're giving me vibes I don't know what to do with.
No, that's a good one. That's totally valid. It is more annoying to me, you know, when people are like saying things like that, like the running commentary. It's like they're casting their own game. Is sort of
Yeah.
like, okay, let's just rein it in a bit. But I do like to make small talk when I play, so maybe sometimes I annoy people.
Yeah.
Mine is related to it, and you just touched on it. So my pack 4 pick 12 for this week will be when you sit down to play limited and you're drafting, and every time somebody says this, it drives me crazy, where they're like, how did this make it? How's nobody picked this yet? You know, it's like, especially if
Yeah.
it's like the pack that you just handed them,
Yeah.
because it implies that you're an idiot, you know?
And
Or it's
then
like-
it makes me be like, but maybe I am. Like, that's for me, as I'm like, oh. Like, that's what I get worried.
Well, no, I'm just like, you don't know what was in the pack, you know?
It's true.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
maybe there was a foil Diablo and a Diablo. So Katie took the foil Diablo, I took the Diablo, and what's left is, you know, the good Sisu or whatever. You know,
Yeah.
it's like people just sort of make assumptions about things that they don't know about, and it's kind of rude, and you're also not supposed to talk at the table during the draft anyways, so.
Yeah. It is fun. It's kind of like passive trash talk, right? Like, you're like, I didn't
Yeah.
say anything. I'm just saying, like, how did you losers not
Yeah.
do? You're like,
It's very rude. Yeah, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was smarter than everyone at this table. And it's like,
yeah.
it's very subjective. We're all building our own deck, and it's pack 4, and I needed a 2-drop. So no, I didn't pick up
I know.
the 9-cost Prince John or Prince Philip or whatever it is. I
Yeah.
just needed this 2-drop card to fill out my curve. So that would be my pack 1. That would be my pack 4 pick 12, is when people are rude table talking during a draft. I'm totally fine with people chatting, but it annoys me
Yeah.
when people will belittle everybody else at the table by being like, how did this still make it here or whatever.
We do in our pack, in our local LGS, or I guess the L is local, but at our LGS, we try to be like, who's gonna get Marshmallow? That's like our fun thing to do. Be like, uh-oh, you're gonna get him, because for some reason Marshmallow's always there and nobody wants him, and
Yeah.
so that's always the fun, is to kind of like hot potato the one bad card, because like you're not supposed to
Yeah.
do that, but it's sometimes if you're friends you can be like,
Yeah,
"Someone's-"
absolutely. Absolutely. It's not competitive. It's not like
Yeah.
a set championship. Okay, well, thank you for your time. I think if you want to interact with me or with us or Katie, you can find both of us on Twitter. Do you have an Instagram?
I do. It's the Lorekeepers in HQ.
Sweet. I'll put links to all of these in the show notes. And if you want to ask either of us questions, you can find us on Twitter or in our Discord. Katie's in the Discord. And you can ask her questions about Disney lore or parks or etc. Any extraneous Disney knowledge.
Or runs of questions. There's
Yeah.
different types.
Yeah, and there's plenty of options. If you want to tell us what your favorite variant of pouched meat is, you can hop into Discord and let us know that as well. But thank you for your time, Katie. I wish you the best in the new channel. I'm sure at this point it has hundreds of subscribers. And yeah, one day I'd love to come on the show if you'll have me.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should bring Taylor. He's more entertaining than I am.
That's true. Well, no, Taylor
Yeah.
can have Brother Bear too because he's
Yeah,
nature.
give him-
He's one with nature.
I think he likes Brother Bear, actually.
He seems like somebody like Brother Bear and be like, oh, I love the talking moose. Like he just has that like he has a gold heart that would be like,
Yeah.
that's nice. That's a nice movie.
Yeah, maybe. Some annoying thing like that. All right, well, thank you for your time. Do you have an outro that you usually do for your show?
Mine is if you don't know where to find us, just take the second start of the right exit and head straight on till morning.
Hey, what she said. Bye, y'all.
Bye.